Good morning, campers. How are you doing today? How are you doing today in those interesting energies that are preparing us slowly for the full moon, for the eclipses season, and for a new year? Very interesting energies. I'm going to chat about this if I have the time on my stories today, but let's do a reading for this collective. I feel like just checking in with you. How are you? How are you feeling? What is it that you need to maybe hear from your guides? Maybe we're gonna channel some messages. What's coming? What you need to focus on? For a second, I was thinking about a love reading, but then I thought, no, we're going to focus on that in February. February is the month of love, my favorite month. We're going to be doing a lot of love content, reading, love readings. So let's just, in preparation for upcoming events, let's just check in. So we're going to start, if this is the first time you're here, hello and welcome. As always, we're going to start from your energy so you can see whether this is your reading and it actually resonates. So how is this collective feeling? How is this collective feeling? That's actually nice. That's actually nice. We have Eight of Pentacles. We have High Priestess. I'm hearing with this Eight of Pentacles. I'm hearing that maybe you've recently been feeling like you're slowing down, like you're accepting that certain things in life take time, that Rome was not built in a day, that to achieve certain things. I'm also hearing, which is absolutely true, that, it escaped my mind. Oh my God, you guys. Maybe you've recently been a little distracted. But it's about, there's this energy of effort, of understanding that it's a journey, that we learn through the journey, that we transform through the journey. So maybe you've been struggling in the past, this collective, with urgency, with wanting things now, with really feeling that like we're on a clock here and certain things need to happen. And maybe something even happened recently that you started understanding. Sometimes this is the situations, and these are the moments in life when we start to sort of understand why certain things took time, when certain things happen, and then we look back and we understand, oh my God, if this happened a while back, I would have reacted differently, I would have done things differently. It's a bit of a belief in divine timing and divine orchestration. Let's see what else. Maybe you've been putting a little bit more effort into yourself recently, which is actually nice. One more, and we're going to see your first row. All right, there it is, the the urgency. Okay, we have 10 of Wands in the center of your spread. So, and it's kind of in reverse. It's funny because I never do reversals, but even when I put it there, it was sort of a in reverse. So I feel like you're fighting it. Maybe you're trying to understand the concept of urgency better. Maybe you've been trying recently to really go inwards and ask yourself, why do I want certain things to happen now? Why do I have this urgency? And I know from a perspective of our human ego, it's sometimes difficult to understand, but it is an ultimate truth that the eternal soul has no urgency. Whatever really matters for the soul, whatever we want to achieve as a soul, is something that we can achieve through many lifetimes. So there's never an urgency. So maybe you've been trying to really understand, sorry, to really understand it a little bit better. There is energy of here of working on yourself, trying to work on your independence, but I feel like independence more in a bit of an emotional sense. And given that these are pentacle energies, I feel that you are starting to realize, or maybe you've recently even had some downloads or some dreams, I'm hearing, or it just came to you as in a sense of that inner knowing, whether you are still ready to accept that or not, because sometimes certain things come to us as a download and our ego still fights them. That it's gonna be a long journey. That it's gonna be a long journey. Whatever journey you identify with, whatever journey, but it's okay. It's okay. And it's something that I love highlighting to you guys, the sort of a newbie energy, being afraid of being a newbie. Our soul is eternal. Our soul is awareness. Our soul is universe, is God, is everything. So our soul comes to this earth, to this illusion of separation, to manage this human body for exactly that purpose. To experience the path, to experience the challenges, to experience the process of transformation, of finding out, of understanding. It's exciting, right? It's exciting. If we just could have things and know things from one second to another, we wouldn't appreciate them. It's the journey of the struggle. It's the journey of learning that makes this journey beautiful. And sometimes there are days that it's difficult to understand and it's difficult to accept, but it's the truth. So I feel you still carry that heavy burden of urgency, of wanting certain things. But the difference here is that you are now understanding that this belongs to the ego and that you need to sort of work things out, that you need to figure out, connect to your higher self, connect to your soul self, and figure out, why am I feeling this urgency? Why do I want things to happen now? Let's do another row. 8 of Pentacles. We have 2 8s, so abundance, infinity. I was also thinking about simply just number 8 as in month. August, maybe August is important for this collective. 5 of Pentacles. Maybe you've been working through recently some grievances, some things that you from your past that I'm hearing regret. Some things that you regret. I'm hearing, and it would actually make sense because as we're approaching eclipse season, especially this eclipse season, but all overall, has this power of really connecting us to a karma and a dharma, our destiny, north and southern star, to connect the dots. And oftentimes what we struggle with in life, what people struggle in with life, is they're so focused on the future, on what they want, on the urgency, that they forget that they can never get there if they don't fully process what already happened. It's the dharma and the karma, right? So you cannot move towards your highest destiny, towards your dharma, if you have not really learned and processed your karma. So maybe you've recently been understanding that life is not just about what you want and what you want from future, but there are certain things that you never closed from your past. Again, I am hearing regrets and grievances, so maybe there are certain things that caused a lot of pain in your life. I'm hearing as well relationships with family, certain things that you regret. Closures are, closures of karmic contracts, soul contracts are difficult things. And I've done so much content about this. You can find it on my YouTube. There are some playlists about karmic contracts or soul ties or something like that. You can browse through it. But I love highlighting this to you guys, that in order to have that, we don't really have to have conversation with other people involved. We don't really have to be granted their forgiveness. We have to forgive ourselves. If someone has fully forgiven you and you don't forgive yourself fully, you're not going to close a karmic contract, right? And I explain this often in a way that karmic contracts usually exist on two levels. Not all of them, but the most important ones usually exist on the level of a person and on the level of a lesson. There's many karmic contracts that we have that exist on the level of a lesson. Who delivers that karmic contract is completely irrelevant. But if we have a contract that exists on the level of person and on the level of lesson, in order to close it, we have to release the person in the sense that we understand that it is not my fault, it is not your fault, it is nobody's fault. It was the contract that had to happen. I release you with love, light, kindness, forgiveness. I release you, which sometimes means I'll never see you again, and sometimes it means we continue our relationship, right? But the tension, so to speak, is released. And the level of a lesson is that to get that closure, you really have to understand. If you're still not seeing the lesson, if you're still not understanding why was this person in my life, whether that's my son, my brother, my aunt, my whatever, my ex-boyfriend, whatever, whoever, why they are there. Why did our souls choose this? What do I need to learn here? What is the opportunity for me to grow, to expand, to conquer certain things that were hard for me to conquer? Once you understand that, and it's a beautiful thing actually, because sometimes in order to get closure, understanding is enough. The reason karmic lessons are constantly returning and returning and returning because we're not seeing the lesson, right? So understanding, I see it now. I see it. And I'm going to try to really learn this and embody this energy. This is where we close. So there may be some things in your past strength. It's beautiful. Not first thing is that again we have the infinity symbol that I was seeing, remember? So maybe that's significant for some of you. Maybe you're seeing this symbol recently. Maybe it has a specific meaning to you. I'm hearing as well, maybe you have a jewelry with that symbol or a tattoo. I just heard. Another thing that I wanted to mention, it's really beautiful because we are approaching a full moon in Leo. And it's really gonna give us an opportunity to learn healthy Leo energy. If you feel like this reading resonates and you want to feel more into that, make sure to follow or come back around the weekend. I'll definitely make a video about upcoming energies. Again, full moon Imbolc. And I'm thinking about doing a little guided meditation, a healing session with you guys. We haven't done that, I feel like, since the summer. So let's. But I am hearing with this one that it's like you're trying to connect to the strength of your soul. So maybe in the recent times, you've been sitting in this energy of realization that we are an ego and a spirit, right? We are a unique blend of the frequency of our soul represented by our spirit and and our ego. And maybe you're realizing that for a very long time you have been guided by the ego. You have been guided by the human. You have been disconnected from the soul, from the eternal soul. You have been disconnected from Dharma. I'm also hearing misunderstanding of strength. So maybe I'm hearing fight for power. So maybe in the past you would really associate strength with power. Who wins, who loses, maybe those kind of things matter to you in the past. Sometimes, these messages are harsh, but I love highlighting this to you guys, that whoever really wants to grow, we have to remove denial. We have to take accountability. We have to, and I think we spoke about this yesterday even, and we've been talking about this a lot in the past weeks, that the purpose of shadow work, what we do here, is not to shame our shadows, is not to remove our shadows, carve them out and throw them to the bin. The purpose is to love them, to understand that nothing is good or bad, nothing within us is good or bad. It's just an illusion of polarity. Everything is neutral. Everything is how we choose to see it. But maybe you had a bit of a low vibrational understanding of strength. So maybe in the past, I'm hearing arrogance as well, however that resonates. And now you're learning that true strength comes from the heart. True strength doesn't exist without compassion, without grace, without empathy. When we're disconnected from our heart, it's this distorted masculine energy within us, whether you're a female or a male. We all have feminine and masculine, that convinces us that strength is power, is domination, is being right, is winning. And it's not true. Winning and losing for the soul has a completely different meaning. As long as we learn, we're always winners. Let's see what's the burden. Still, what's burdening you? The Lovers. I was seeing this card. I adore those moments when they're showing me something and I just even don't have the time to say this to you guys. The Lovers. I was like, it's gonna be the Lovers for this collective. It's gonna be the Lovers. Whoever you're attached to, that's the burden. That would be the thing that you want. That would be the thing that you feel urgency. But Lovers as well, the energy of the Lovers card is not just the lovers and the love in the romantical sense. Obviously, it's an ultimate, universal concept of love. But it is as well the balance. It's the representation of the yin and yang, right? So maybe what's burdening you is the lack of balance within you without you knowing. Maybe your masculine and your feminine are disembalanced, are not working in synergy. It's a concept that it's important to understand. Everything in this world is truly neutral, right? The polarity is an illusion. There is no light and shadow. There is no good or bad, right? Things just are. Obviously, they vibrate on a different frequency, and we have a free will to choose. Once we liberate ourselves from the autopilot of the ego, we have a free will to choose what vibrancy we resonate with, and every day we take these choices. But it's our human mind that associate low vibration with low and high vibration with good. In reality, it's your choice. It's what you choose. But as much as the polarity in a sense of high, low, up, down, in front, behind, better, worse, black and white is an illusion, in the physical world, there is duality. And the very important thing to understand is that the feminine and the masculine, the duality that create a whole, right? Nothing to do, similarly, our own shadows and our own lights, nothing to do with good and evil, with superior and inferior. It's just duality, right? Two opposing forces that, because they are opposing, they complement each other. Once they're healed and once they know how to collaborate, creating union, creating wholeness. So there may be some disimbalance, significant disimbalance still within you. Maybe it's something you've been dwelling on, working on, that your inner feminine, your inner masculine, they're both wounded. They don't really know how to collaborate with each other. And you know that I highlight this always. You will never be able to form a healthy, mature, spiritual connection with another human being, as in romantical love, if your own inner masculine and feminine cannot collaborate. it's impossible. There's always going to be friction. There's always going to be discord. Nine of Pentacles. Okay, we have two cards. We have the Wheel. We have the Wheel of Fortune, and we have Nine of Wands. We have 2 8s, 2 9s. Maybe that's significant. 8 of the 8th, 8 of the 9, 9 of the 8th, 9 of the 9th. 98, 89 as well. Maybe you've also been seeing a lot of these numbers. It's sort of a constant loop, constant. That's what they're showing me. 9 is a completion. 8 is infinity, but they're showing me it in a sense that the wheel is constantly turning. Maybe it's something as well that this collective you would need to learn and really. Sometimes we're being introduced to certain concepts, and it's like we understand. I know what you're talking about, lady. Okay. It may be that it will take you months, if not years, to actually fully understand it and to fully embody it. Sometimes this is why I also highlight to you guys that it's so beautiful to journal, to write down things that we feel that matter to us, how we, understand these things, and then go back to it. But what I was saying and what they were showing me, that what you still need to understand, I feel this collective, you look at the journey in the sense of an end game, that there's going to be an end game, that there's going to be a happy ever after, that there's going to be a moment when the journey will stop. But it's not true. The journey stops the day our physical body expires, right? And although, again, I highlight this to you guys, the journey of actual healing, right? Again, it's so difficult. The more we grow, the more concepts we understand, we struggle with labels. But how else I'm going to speak to you guys, right? I even don't anymore resonate with the word healing, because I teach you guys that the moment we say heal, it's like we impose that something is wrong, so something needs to be fixed. But healing, wounding, but we have to use the language to communicate. We haven't mastered as humans telepathy as just yet between each other, so I can just look at you in my mind to your mind. Do you know what I'm saying, right? So it's not in a sense of negativity, right? Human words tend to have some of them, they pejorative, some, again, it's the polarity. This is the world that we live in, right? But I want you to understand is that this journey of what we call healing, which is just self-discovery, understanding of meaning of life, learning the meaning of human nature, of our being, right? This journey, if you really put your work into it, it has an end date. You will reach a moment when you will reach that inner union. The masculine, the feminine will be healed, will be working beautifully with each other. You would understand your past, your karma. You will really feel into your dharma. You will connect the dots, right? You will just release and surrender and just live this life. Yes, right? So in that sense, but it's going to be a milestone. This moment is not an end game. This moment is not the finale of the journey, because the wheel is constantly turning. So even when we live a life, when we already aligned, when we already know ourselves, when we already understand that we've been whole all along, right? This challenging chunk of a meaning of life and self-discovery sort of is complete. We embark on a new journey. The journey continues. And even when we are, again, living on a life of alignment, the wheel goes up, the wheel goes down. What goes up must go down. Exactly the polarity of our world that we live in. We're not going to see it once you're healed. You're not going to look at it and you're not going to see it in the sense of this is up, this is down. You're just going to feel it as a vibration. So sometimes life will slow down, will become a little bit more dense, will become a little bit more full of lessons, and then things will go up and life will become lighter. You will feel a little bit closer to spirit. It's the ascension, it's the descension, right? So on this journey, we also need to understand that the inner work that we do is we try to release the ego and ascend to connect to spirit self, to connect to higher self, to connect to the universe, to the truth of life, right? I am God, I am the universe. And once we achieve that, we remember. And once we remember, we're like, hold on, I remember, but I don't really want to be here, because this is where I'm going to be when I'm going to shed this physical body. I want to be in my physical existence. But with all that knowledge and with all that remembrance of the true meaning of life, we descend back to our root, to our human existence, right? And once we achieve that, as that wholeness of a human being, the wheel is constantly turning in our life. There are moments we need to ascend back to connect more to the higher self, more to the meaning of life. And there are moments when we need to descend to connect more to those karmic lessons, to those experiences, to denser feelings, right? I hope it's making sense. Again, you guys know that I feel things in energy. They're showing me images. I'm feeling certain things, and sometimes I do struggle, especially that labels. Again, we talk about this a lot. Labels are helpful, and we call things certain way, because I cannot every single time explain every concept. These videos would be 10 hours long. But sometimes it's tricky, and sometimes I feel guided to go deeper, because as you watch me, you guys can have different understanding of ascension, descension, karma, dharma, meaning of life, ego, right? And it's sometimes funny when I watch people online and, dwelling over semantics, and we don't really release the ego. The ego really doesn't really die. Yeah, we know this. We know this. We cannot kill off our ego. We don't really release it. It's always here, right? But we struggle to find the right words. So I hope you understand what needs to happen to the ego, right? The ego is what the soul wants, is what the soul searches. But the soul sort of wants that purified ego. The ego that understands that it's temporary and it needs to follow the leadership of the soul to really thrive in this life, because the soul cannot experience the beauty of the physical world, full of illusions and full of, the illusion of polarity and illusion of separation. But when we remember and we descend back into the ego, it becomes such a beautiful experience. I hope it's making sense. And they're sort of showing me that for this collective, you may not yet just embody what I'm talking about, but write it down or save it, come back to it in the future. And yeah, so I feel like this is what they were showing with the 9 and with the 8, that it's not the end game. It's not, it's a constant loop. It's the karmic wheel. What goes up goes down. It's human life, right? So perhaps understanding of that will help you, this collective, to really understand that there is no target that you're going towards. This is a very masculine approach towards things, and sometimes we need that masculine energy to achieve certain things in the physical. But when you look at your life as a journey of life, right, you cannot look at it in the masculine mind, right? It's what end game, what goal, what we're here to experience, right? And to ride the spiral. That's it. That's literally it. 10 of Swords. 10 of Swords. I feel, just a little summary of your energy. You're starting to realize you're sort of powering through what's burdening you, right? That love, that urgency, wanting certain things. You're starting to understand that if you don't fully release the past, you will never be allowed to walk towards your future. There are certain concepts that you need to figure out, certain grievances, certain, regrets from the past that you need to figure out. But you will be trying more and more to connect to your higher self. There is an energy of sometimes, I understand that it's going to be a long journey. I understand I need to be independent. I understand I need to be sovereign. I need to love myself. I need to conquer certain things. But it's exhausting. Right? There is a bit of an energy of you just feeling exhausted. But again, your soul is loving it, whether you accept it or not. If you don't, it means that you're still more connected to your ego. Because even if it's difficult, your soul is loving that challenge. All right, let's maybe confirm let's maybe confirm a little bit what is going on in your life and sort of a physical aspect of your life. What's been popping? Whoop, whoop. Values.